Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Oh, now, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome in to Indiana Sports Beat Radio postgame show. I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith, and Jim will be along as soon as he gets set up after the Coach Signetti's presser, which may be a little longer after that incredible win in Eugene this afternoon for this Indiana Hoosier football team, putting to rest all the naysayers about Indiana football, this Indiana football, that. You go out on the field and you prove it between the white lines, and everything else beyond that is just noise. And that's what the boys did today, overcoming some adversity. The pick six that Mendoza threw on 3rd and 2. I don't fault him as much on that one. When you have 3rd and 2 and Roman Hemby in the backfield, who will get you the tough yardage, in my opinion, you hand it to Roman Hemby, especially in your own territory. But they bounce right back, having each other's backs, whether it's a player's back, a defense, offense's back, or a coach's back. They come right back down the field and get a big score to basically round it out. And the Indiana defense shut out one of the most prolific offenses in the second half. And I thought I saw a stat only giving up a total of 45 yards to Oregon in that second half. And Indiana, I guess you could say, shocks the nation with this victory this afternoon in Eugene, Oregon. And just a monumental win. As I said in the pregame show, Indiana was going to need a signature win over in Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, or the Michigans of the world for them to get a true seat at the penthouse table. And they got that today with a resounding 30-20 win over Dan Lanning and the Oregon's Ducks. And I tell you this right now, Lee Corso had the best saying when it came to talking after big wins or poor losses. He said, when you win, you say little. When you lose, you say nothing. And I would adhere to that very much so by all of saying little when it comes to this game today, because act like we knew it was going to happen, and there doesn't need to be any "I told you so's" to those outside the airways, because this is a game that Indiana just made some huge plays at the right time. Mendoza, Roman Hemby, 70 yards on the day, 2 touchdowns. His first one, he just ran through the face of Thyman from Oregon, who was at Purdue last year. And that in itself was a great tone setter. Fernando Mendoza chipped in with 6 attempts for 31 yards, 5.2 yards a carry. And for a Oregon offense who had only given up one sack on the day, and had only had 1 interception on the year, Indiana has 6 sacks on the day for 35 yards and 2 turnovers, and was able to get 3 points off of those 2 turnovers. And I said in the on the pregame show that I thought Indiana was going to need to get a couple takeaways this afternoon, and they were going to have to allow Roman Hemby to be Roman Hemby and utilize that big back mentality by him. And he was able to get some critical runs in this game today. Going to throw up, I think, here's some statistics while we wait for Jim. And to keep everybody abreast right now, USC is up early 7-0 over Michigan out in LA this evening. And Northwestern upsets Penn State 22-21, as you can see some of the scores scrolling at the bottom. And they had a big win, the Wildcats did, but they did lose Drew Aller, their quarterback, for the season, and a bad injury there in Northwestern today. I know this may be a little bit fuzzy there, but to read off the statistics today, Indiana outgains Oregon 326-267. Indiana throws for 215. Fernando Mendoza, 20 of 31, 65%, 1 touchdown pass, which was a great shot to Elijah Surratt. 1 interception. Unfortunately, that went for a pick 6. QBR rating of 127. Dante Moore, on the other hand, 21 of 34 for 186, 1 TD and 2 interceptions. He had hadn't thrown 1 all year. Completed 62%, well under his 70 some odd % of the year, 105 quarterback rating. And that was the passing statistics there. Then rush yards, Indiana finishes with 111 rushing yards today off of 37 attempts. And Oregon finishes with 81 total rush yards on the ground today. And Indiana was able to come out on both sides of the coin on their third downs today. They were 5 of 14, and Oregon was 3 of 14. So this was big boy football. This was your old traditional Big Ten type of football today, as Jim is trying to get set up and join us there from Eugene in a nice view and area. I'll let him get set up and come back to us here in a second, and let him get things rolling there, and I'll add him in here. But again, Indiana with a big statement win in Eugene this afternoon, as they upset Oregon 30-20. They were a 7-point underdog, and they did come out on top today, which was a critical thing to see Indiana do. And great win for the Hoosiers, as they will have a great trip back home this evening from Eugene. As waiting for Jim here to get with us here in a second. As always, if you have any questions, please be willing to throw those into the chat box. If I can see it, I will get it up on the board so people can see everything, or what questions you may have. We'll try to get them answered as quickly as humanly possible. But again, like we talked about in that pregame show this afternoon, the key of Indiana's offense and defense being having that attack mentality all game long was going to be critical. And I don't think there is any question that their attacking style offensively and defensively was ever in question. Defense played lights out, huge plays. They went to a different type of defensive scheme there this afternoon, where they both put Hardy and Jones on the field at the same time. So they played 3 linebackers for the most of the ball game. And that was critically useful for Indiana today, as they were able to get 2 of their better players out on the field with Fisher. And it added up in some of the, the sacks and some big plays, with Isaiah Jones getting another interception today, Fisher getting a sack. I mean, it was just a very good game plan by Bryant Haynes and this Indiana defense for what they were able to do to this Oregon defense, that offense that, they had been lighting up the scoreboard. So it wasn't like this was some chop liver offense coming to play today. This was a very proficient offense all year long. And Indiana gets that signature win they so desperately needed today, 30-20 over Oregon.
I call it an FU win.
Hey, here you go. You're all set up.
Oh, yeah, I've been here listening.
Yeah.
But this is what Indiana needed. You can still see behind me. That's why I come up here today instead. There's the large group of people outside of where the presser was going on in that white tent, and then on down is the Indiana locker room. Right. Not great facilities here yet, but I guess that'll change later on. But a lot of the players coming out, but a few happy Hoosier fans here.
No question. And I must say, great audio is coming through very nicely. We can hear.
Well, it helps when you're not on the field surrounded by 55,000 people and a speaker's blaring out. Very difficult. But what an incredible day, an incredible win for Indiana, the football program. The question I asked Kurt Signetti was, I know you don't pay attention, or you say you don't pay attention, ignore the outside noise, but I know you see this stuff from the national pundits and whatnot. I said, there's not much that they can say now after today about your team. And he knew what I was saying. He goes, oh, they can still say things. He said, but we beat number 9 Illinois 63-10. We beat Iowa at Iowa, pretty tough place to win. And we just beat the number 2 team in the country at their place. So he goes, you take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, well, and he had that comment on CBS where he said, you always will have somebody complaining a bit about chocolate chip cookies versus brownies. So he kind of had that to say in the post-game show as well. But I was saying prior to you coming on there, Indiana had come into this game with a scheme defensively that had not been shown all year or in the last 2 years of Bryant Haynes being the defensive coordinator. They put Elijah Hardy and Jones on the field going to a 3 linebacker set. And that wrinkle was enough to get their 2 better players on the field at the same time. And those 3 made life a living, at times for Oregon's offensive line, as well as Dante Moore, because Indiana gets 6 sacks today. 6
sacks against this line. Think about that.
Offensive line that had only given up 1 to date. And Dante Moore, who only had one interception going in, now had 2 picks today.
Well,
we lost him again. Damn it, Jim. We'll keep it here waiting for him to see kid get back into us here in a second. Yes, I did see that about Aller going down today in the Penn State loss against Northwestern, 22-21. Of course, a big win this afternoon for the UCLA Bruins as they win another game, this time in East Lansing, over the Michigan State Spartans, who, oh, by the way, will be the next two opponents of this Indiana squad heading into next week as well. So, you know, it's one of those things. You get to enjoy this one for a 24-hour window. But after that, they've got to get back to grinding and back to the basics of getting some things cleaned up, even out of today's ball game. Because the last thing you want to do is let these two big wins overhang in the sense of thinking, because you've beaten Iowa, a number 9 ranked team, Iowa, and now the number 3 ranked team in the country, the next 2 weeks are going to be cupcakes, because every team is going to bring their A game, because Indiana will be the hunted. They are, you know, they are no longer the hunter. They will be the hunted. And you're going to get every team's best, Michigan State including, and UCLA, who just 2 weeks ago was the worst team in college football. Well, by the way, now they've riddled off 2 big wins in a row, beating Penn State and now Michigan State on the road. And so Indiana will have to be ready for the A games to occur by these two programs here over the next couple of weeks. Let's see here. I got the other thing I wanted to bring up today, and I know it's kind of a little bit beyond the aspect of the game already because it's over and done with, but and I've said this for the last couple of weeks to a certain degree. The Big Ten officials are going to have to get some things correct, because they're in that first half today. They missed blatant pass interference, and the stemming that Oregon was doing is okay if it's not an over-exaggeration or simulated. Up there he is. He's back on the prowl. Holly, back again. Glad to have you. Well, I was just talking about some of the
Well, I was walking into the stadium. I thought I'd get a better view and maybe some better sound and quiet, because it's still loud as hell out here. But then everything went haywire. So I'm like, screw it. Staying right here. Still got the Indiana crowd down there as the players are filtering out, and the coaches, as they're getting a big hello. I'd say there'll be a lot of Indiana fans out tonight in Eugene, although I've got to say again, these Eugene people have been unbelievably friendly. Not sure how friendly they're going to be tonight, though, because I think part of that friendliness was they're like, oh, hey, yeah, welcome. Yeah, we appreciate you coming. Now, but they thought they were going to kick Indiana's ass, I'm pretty sure. I think that they were just stunned. But it set in early. Indiana was not just hanging around. They stopped Oregon on the first series on 4th and short, and then they stopped them on their second series on a 3rd down. So Indiana's defense showed up early and often.
Yeah,
I don't want to say that one was the reason they won over another, but the defense set the tone today. They just did a masterful job, and I heard you talking about putting a different scheme in. Well, I'm not seeing Oregon shut down like that. Well, I was going to say all year, but they haven't lost in 2 years. So it's been a while. They were pretty shut down. I don't remember. Do I have the final stat right here, luckily?
They only had 267 of total offense, just 81 yards rushing.
Yeah, what do they average? They're averaging over 500. But Indiana also, what did they have?
326.
Yeah. So it was a defensive battle today.
Oh, no,
I mean, no surprise by that. But the big doings were coming on 3rd down, Coach. There was at one point I sent out a post that both teams were 3 of 13 at the moment. Then they were 4 of 18 or something. And so what did we end up with on 3rd down?
3rd downs this afternoon, Indiana was 5 of 14. And Oregon was 3 of 14. Now you could take some of those
8 of 28 on the day for those combined teams. That's a fist fight. That's what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
A fist fight. Everybody thought this was going to be one of those high-octane, explosive games, but they forget how good the defensive units are on both of these teams. And Indiana, I'm telling you, as good as their offense is being led by its defense right now. And that defensive line has stood up two top 10 teams, 13 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's another team in the country that can say that. So Indiana is going to reach probably number 3 this week. They're not going to raise them over Miami, unless something crazy happens or has happened that I'm not aware of. But it doesn't matter. Now you want to get crazy? Coach, you want to get crazy?
Absolutely want to get crazy.
Indiana is on a direct path for the Big Ten championship game now.
Yeah, no question.
They can lose to Penn State, win out, but lose to Penn State and still go to the Big Ten championship game. Yes. They have the tiebreaker over Oregon, the tiebreaker over Illinois. Penn State already has double-digit losses. USC already has double-digit losses. Who am I missing? Nebraska. There's no way they're going 11-1. So Indiana is on a cool, as I like to quote Howard Snellenberger with his old Louisville, Indiana University is on a collision course with the Big Ten championship. The only variable is time. Well, that is very true. And Sig's all about business now. He's not quipping. He's not, he's business. He's all about it. And he has to be, because their team is now going to be looked at, and they have to be finally, as an elite team, an elite program. They just did the unthinkable by most people. They came into Autzen and beat Oregon's ass. They didn't just win the game. They beat their ass.
Yeah,
they beat them by 2 scores.
And I agree with that assessment there. And like you said, it was a fist fight today. Indiana's third downs, although 5 of 14, you might as well take a couple off of that. And it's really about 5 for 12 because of the ending part of the game there. But again, a defense that came in today riding high. They did not disappoint. The front 4 that Indiana put out there, the ones that most people in the Twitter sphere was saying they were too small to go up against this beefy Oregon defensive line.
Speed kills, baby. Speed kills.
Yeah, I hope they understand now that being big and beefy doesn't always mean the better, because what happened to them today, they got ran around and through multiple times. And again, I think Roman Hemby again today solidified why he is a top running back and has been, because
100 yards and all-purpose yards today. Yeah. He was the key offensively. He not only did a tremendous job running the ball, he's catching the ball out of the backfield. Huge catch down there that he turned into a long 22-yard gain. It was a 2-yard catch, but he ended up with 22 yards on that and got Indiana down close in the scoring position. He's becoming more and more a part of this offense. But the thing is, you can't focus on one guy. You can't focus on him. You can't focus on Black. You can't focus on Scobie Martin. You can't focus on Elijah Surratt or Omar Cooper or E.J. Williams or Norowski. And we got to see Fernando Mendoza use his feet a little bit more today. I think one of those was a designed quarterback run. You could tell, and very smartly called, man, right in the middle of the field. Just a well played and well called game by Indiana. But again, the 2 drives where Indiana scored, they were just methodical. Just boom, 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 down the field they went, picking and choosing, running and throwing. And I cannot wait to hear Coach Lanning's comments. I mean, I know he's going to be complimentary, but you wish you could say, all right, the pressure's done. Now, tell me what you really think.
Yeah, sure.
But I'd love to hear that, but we're not going to.
Second straight week in a row where Indiana takes the ball right before the half, marches down the field, and gets a huge field goal. This one, 58 yards.
You don't know how big those are, and I forgot about that. I wish I would have remembered that, but that was huge. It wasn't huge because of the points, although it was. What it was kind of it took some wind out of their sails because they get that big score and there was 24 seconds on the clock. I remember looking. I'm like, well, I toasted. Well, Indiana's got 24 seconds to go 80 yards or get into field goal range. Boom, boom, boom. Did it again. That is going to pay unbelievably great dividends down the road when they're in a game that is in the end of the fourth quarter and they're tied, they're trailing, whatever the case is, and they've got to do that. They look so comfortable doing it, Coach. It's just like they're not rushed. They're not, stressing out. It's just doing it. This team is in great shape right now. They've got to watch just to not stub their own toe. The sixth sense, they've got to remain hungry and humble, go to work on Monday, and get back after it. And take care of a Michigan State team who was better than they were last year. And don't read your own headlines, because now you have a chance to do what you're capable of doing. But now you're going to have a target on your back more than you're the hunted, no longer the hunter.
No question. Couple things there to also point out. That missed field goal that ultimately led to Indiana kicking the field goal before half, that was essentially a 6-point turnaround as Oregon's kicker missed that bunny of a kick and almost surprised him. And then that's when Indiana went down and kicked the 58-yarder. That was a huge statement, as you said there. And then Elijah Surratt's day, 8 receptions, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 13 targets, averaged 15.1 yards on average. Cooper was 8.3 on the day. And you talked about Fernando Mendoza's running ability, 6 attempts, 31 yards, averaging 5.2, and a big first down needed there, as you pointed out, late there in the fourth. As they said, Lanning gave credit to Indiana. He said they were out-coached is what his comments were. They were out-coached by Indiana today for this ball game. So I don't necessarily doubt that. They're still a great football team. Oregon is a great football team. Take nothing away from them. But I do like to say something to Mr. Nick Saban. Ask him how his boy, Dan Lanning, feels now, because Mr. Nick Saban was talking yesterday as if Dan Lanning was the guru of defensive coaching, and today the guru got taken to school by the old wily veteran on many different occasions. I got a question for you. The only criticism I had today of Coach Shanahan was on the pick six. It was 3rd and 2 inside Oregon's territory. I really thought they should have handed the ball off there to Hemby because of what he was able to do. He was getting at least 2 yards, a crack. That pick six gave them a gift, and that wasn't one of those things.
Yeah, but it's hard for me to question that, only because I don't know what the complete situation was, what the coverage was. That play would have worked. He was open, but Fernando was on his back foot when he threw that ball and just did not get. He just did not get mustard on it, man, because the dude was open. If he gets that ball over top, he can go.
Yeah.
But it looked like a wounded duck. Boom! It just didn't have any enough air under it.
Yeah, well, 2 things happened. As you said there, he was throwing off his back foot, didn't get enough on the ball. Secondly, if EJ would have flattened his route off a little bit more, it was man-to-man coverage instead of drift there, that would have helped as well. But again, that was my only criticism of the play calling today, was that particular play. But again, what they do the next series, like you said, they methodically went 75 yards and got the go-ahead touchdown on the play to Surratt in the left corner of the end zone.
An outstanding day for not just for this team, this program, this win. You know, there have been so many firsts over the last 2 years. I'm getting almost tired of saying this never happened. This has never happened. This has never happened. But it's going to keep on going for a while. But this just took it to a new level.
Sure it did.
And people can say whatever they want about Indiana and how they did it. Remember one thing. This team is built, I don't want to say built on guys, but the core were a bunch of guys from James Madison that were a bunch of no number, no rated, no star, all that stuff players. So Indiana didn't go out and buy them a team or any of that stuff you've heard from Tommy Tuberville and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
James Madison, that's where the core of these guys are from. So it's just been getting the right players, the right fit, who want to do what this coaching staff is asking them to do, and they're asking the right things. They're doing it the right way. I mean, they are sticking to the program, planning the plan and planning and sticking with the plan. It is just, it is very businesslike and in a good way, and it's going to continue because winning is fun. And when guys see that, you know what, we do it like this, we're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And not just going to win, they'll be somebody. I could have been a somebody.
Kind of makes you want to shout.
I believe next week Indiana will have the highest ranking they have ever had in program history in the AP poll at number 3. So there's another first coming.
Yeah, well, the couple things. Penn State loses to Northwestern today, 22-21. But more.
I'm sorry. What?
Penn State loses to Northwestern today, 22-21. But Drew Allen.
I'm sorry. I'm having a bad connection. You're going to have to repeat that.
You're being a little facetious. I can see.
I am, because there's no way in hell you just said Northwestern beat Penn State.
Yes, I did. But more importantly, Drew Aller was injured and is done for the rest of the year. So
I think James Franklin might be done for the rest of the year.
Well, that in itself too. And UCLA goes to Michigan State, gets another win. They're 2-0 now since the change, beating Michigan
I knew that
State
was going to come.
38-13. And oh, by the way, that's the next
Indiana plays this UCLA team, people.
Yeah, and over the next 2 weeks, they got Michigan State and UCLA, if I'm not mistaken.
What if that's the toughest game on the rest of the year for Indiana?
It may very well be. I mean,
you're damn right it could be.
Who knows? But
that's unbelievable. I can't get over this Penn State thing.
No, I know.
This is more shocking than the UCLA one.
No question. It has been something of, I don't understand it. It's head scratching to lose to Oregon in double overtime. But again, that's
I can't wait to get back next week. Of course, I think I travel on Monday. I have to check the schedule, see if I'm still mobile on Monday or not. But man, oh man, the fans that were here, they're going to have a hell of a time tonight, buddy. Eugene, I hope they continue to be friendly. They have been outstandingly friendly, but I hope that continues now with all of the people that I know. May have a little something to celebrate. May have a few hot toddies or whatever. But man, it's been an unbelievable day to see this come full circle, to see Indiana come to this point, and I cannot wait to hear these pundits talk about this now. I get part of it because they're not around the team, but it's here, baby, and it's real. And for those of you that are listening, you better get your tickets to the Big Ten Championship in Indianapolis before they sell out. I'm telling you. There you go.
Well,
I'm out of here, Coach. I'll see you on the radio.
Are you coming back tonight or tomorrow?
Oh, no, I'm not coming back tomorrow.
Okay. All right. We'll see you. Let me know if I need any help from me. I'll get us all.
Will do, brother.
All right.
Appreciate everybody.
All righty. Well, hey, that's going to do it for Jim and I. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Again today, the Indiana Hoosiers get that signature win, 30-20 over the Oregon Ducks. We'll see you on Monday on Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle. But for now, I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith. For Jim Coyle, we'll see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.